You said at the beginning of that last road trip, the 6-game trip, you're going to find out a lot about your team when it was over. I think it's obviously accurate to say there were good times, there were bad times. The record is not what you wanted it to be whatsoever. But what did you learn about your team? Is there anything that you learned that you didn't already know, or what you saw, did it just fortify what you had already thought?
Well, we're an inconsistent hockey club. Uh, Obviously, we started the trip poorly. Um, I think we have a chance to win both games in Tampa. In fact, the one we lost in Tampa was probably the best game we played on the trip. Uh, Put some good minutes in Florida, but found ways to lose games there. That was a bit self-inflicted in Florida, where some of our turnovers uh, but we don't finish, Bobby. We didn't finish throughout the trip. It's tough to be perfect, uh, and you almost have to be the way we're scoring goals right now.
Yeah, it seems like in some ways it's kind of back more. Well, I was going to say it's toward the beginning of the season, but that's really plagued you throughout the entire season, hasn't it? Finishing off your plays and your chances.
Oh, sure. There was a time where we weren't even getting chances, but we've been getting chances. I don't think we developed a whole hell of a lot in our last Florida game. Both teams developed a lot in the first Florida game. We cut them down. They didn't develop as much, but we certainly didn't either. So yeah, it's been inconsistent. That way, when we have chances, we don't finish. In that Tampa game, we had some glorious chances and we didn't finish, and they find a way to beat us in that second one.
When it comes to that, we're talking about that particular subject. It had to be a nightmare of a week for Boone Jenner, who had so many chances in Tampa. He had some again in Florida, just couldn't finish those off. And ironically, this is the one guy that at the beginning of the year was scoring goals, was scoring a lot of goals, maybe a lot more than you thought that he should have early in the year. And now he just can't find a way to get it across that line.
Yeah, but you need to respect him as he knows one way how to play. He doesn't change a thing as far as how he plays, and he generates a lot of his offense, most of his offense, just out of simple hard work.
And that, yeah, I do respect that, and I know that you like to see those guys get rewarded for that work, and it's got to become maddening when he should have been rewarded maybe 2 times in the Tampa game, maybe 1 time in the Florida game. But one thing about Boone is that doesn't affect him. He's not the kind of guy that ever sulks about whether or not the puck goes in the net. It's just reset for the next shift, isn't it?
Yeah, he's the ultimate warrior. He just he'll mutter a little bit when he comes to the bench when it doesn't go his way, but then and I'm playing him a lot of minutes. He just gets ready for his next shift and goes about it the same way.
How easy is it to have a guy like that? What kind of a luxury is it as a coach to have a guy like that you probably don't have to talk much to? You know what you're going to get. You just tap him on the shoulder and tell him to climb over the boards.
Yeah, I don't say a word to him, and he's in all our situations on our power play. I've been using him on both dots on faceoffs and defensive zone because Nash has been struggling. Now Nash is out, so he'll be doing their penalty killing. I mean, he's 20 plus minutes. I think I'm probably playing him too much, but it's out of need. We just need him in the situations because he's been that good for us. The only thing that's missing in his game is the finish. But he's going to keep getting his opportunities for me as far as the positions he's put in.
Probably the worst thing that ever happened to Boone is he had a 30-goal season, because then there's an expectation that gets set, right? And he's like, no offense, he's not a 30-goal guy, but it happened one time, so everybody's always saying, "Where's that production again?"
Yeah, but I don't think I don't think any of the noise bothers him. He's a game ready player. He really, quite honest, he's a practice ready player. He is. As far as some of the youth on this team here, just watch him, and he'll lead you down the right path.
I'm glad we talked about him for a couple of minutes, because we never do, because he just does his job all the time, and he doesn't jump out. He's not flashy, so that was good. Where are you with your top 4 defensemen right now? Because a couple of weeks ago you were saying, I don't know who the top 4 are. Have they finally settled into where you expect them to be and how to play?
Yeah, they've played better. I think Savvy and Gavi have done a lot more under the hash and defending the way they're supposed to defend, blocking shots, done a good job killing penalties. Z and Jonesy have, I think have found their way as far as working off one another, creating tempo for us, scoring some goals, getting involved in the offense. I think they've played much better of late.
What are you going to do with that third pair tonight? It's been kind of a mix and match for you there the last few games.
It'll be Miko and Delzato.
What did you like about them? You played them together on Sunday. And I'll be honest, from the time that Lettinen played and then you had Delzato out of the lineup and then you dressed 7 defensemen, I was waiting to see those two play together because, I like their games individually, but what did you think about them as a pair?
Yeah. I think they can get us out of our end zone. I think that's a big key for them. A little concerned regarding their size sometimes against big teams and against a big line, but they're both combatants. They're both willing. If Michael just stays within himself, I think Michael was getting sloppy. That's why he was taken out. He was trying to do too much, and he needs to find that fine line of helping us offensively and getting us going, but also not going crazy in that end of it. He's got to defend also. And Miko, I'm still learning about. He can make a play. He brings offense to the game. I'd like to see some more offense out of him. I think as more and more he gets comfortable, I think you'll see that. But he defends hard.
When you're talking about a guy like Michael Delzato trying to do too much, how much of that has to do with the fact that here's a veteran player and he cares and he's trying to make a difference, as you said, to a fault? Wouldn't you rather have that kind of player than the guy that just lets it go status quo?
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot easier to tame the guy than to try to build up a guy to have him play hard. Michael Delzato has always cared, and he's on a 1-year deal. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with that. He likes it here. He wants to stay here. He wants to help the team win. He's very important in the room. I think he's really stepped up in that area. I think a lot of people like having him around. He cares too much because he just tries so hard. And Mike's just not built that way. We've had those discussions for years since he's a teenager, and now he's 30 plus. But that's a good problem to have as far as trying to tame a guy.
What did you think as you saw more of the Domi, Line Robinson line over the weekend?
Yeah, I didn't like it the last couple of games. I was hoping that would stay together. There just wasn't much there, and we'll go back to it, I'm sure, somewhere along the way. We're going to try some different things here, and in tonight's game with some lines, and I just it wasn't that it wasn't. I mean, it played so well, but it can't fall off as much as it did, and that's what I felt it did. But we'll see. We'll go back to it and see if we can rekindle it.
All right, you keep on there guys being shuffled back and forth to this taxi squad, guys into the lineup and out of the lineup. I'm sure by this point in the season you were hoping to have something that's a little bit more set, but you don't. So as you're approaching this game by game, what are you just moving those guys based upon who you think I need this guy for this game, or I'm going to give this guy this opportunity in this game, and if it doesn't work out, he's going to be back over there, and I'm going to give somebody else a chance?
Yeah, I don't think we've really solidified our lines. So Dolps will go in tonight. Stenlin had a chance. I think he fell off. Max started with a couple of good games in the middle of the ice. He fell off. I don't. You keep on asking me that question. I give you the same answer. It's just the way it's been, and that's a big problem with our club. Our middle of the ice is a situation that I just can't sit there and tell you these are our 4 centers, these are our 4 lines, because I just can't go about it that way.
You even tried Foodie there for a little bit on Saturday. What did you see out of that? Or is there any hope in the future promise there with him?
I'm a little worried about Foods. Foods got to learn. I think he's strong enough. He's got to learn how to handle situations low in coverage, and they were trying to run out Barkov out against them too. Any center that we'd have, any center in this National Hockey League will have the hands full with Barkov. I think Foods will get a chance there again sometime. But I with us flailing away at that center ice position, I don't want to put him in that spot. I don't think he's ready. You can see when he does have the puck and there's some open ice, his speed shows. But when I saw what Joel was trying to do in the matchups and I couldn't get away from it, with Barkov playing against me, it was just too much for him. That's when I made a change.
Yeah, and we don't talk about that very much because in the past you've had a team where you could just say, "Look, go ahead, match up whoever you want to against my guys. It doesn't matter," because the home team gets that last line change, which you will have starting tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. But how much more important is that when you have young guys trying to learn the center position, whether it be Foodie or even Texier or Jack Roslovic, who's trying to get accustomed to that situation? How big is that last line change for the other team when you're on the road?
Yeah, I could work hard to get the match I want, but you shuffle that with, do you destroy your bench as far as the flow of your bench? And I think we have struggled at the center ice position right on through this year, through lack of experience with that. No matter if I have the last change or not, there's an inexperience there. There are things that need to be learned at that position that, Jens knows. I can use him. I was using him and Nick and Cam for a little bit there, but I'm going to give some. I have to progress and try to develop some other guys here too. But that's been a problem all year long, and it's not going to go away. It doesn't happen overnight. So I'm going to give these guys some reps, and quite honestly, I'm not going to be too concerned about matchups anymore. I'm going to let guys play and develop them. My centers tonight will be Jack, Tex. I'm going to keep Max in there, and Dolps will be a center, and then we'll see where we'll go from there.
Are the goalies the least of your problems right now on your team?
Yeah, they need to be better too. Elvis, I think in the 2 games he played, his last 2 games, left a bad goal in each game. I think Corpy's been solid. I can't remember, Corpy just hasn't played much, but and there you go, Bobby, as I'm explaining it, we can't let a bad goal in because we just don't score enough. We don't give our goaltending any run production, and that's where we almost have to have them perfect. But I didn't like the tying goal in Elvis's game in Tampa. I didn't like Wenberg's goal in Florida, and I can say this because Elvis. There's one thing about Elvis: he holds himself accountable. He knows exactly the pucks that he should be stopping. And the hard part for goaltending, they make some great saves, but goaltenders don't get judged on the saves they make. They get judged on the saves they don't make, and that's the hardest part with a goalie. So certainly not trying to run them down, but we need our goalies right now to win games for us because we're just not scoring enough.
No, I totally agree, and I'm with you on that goal that tied the game in the third period in Tampa. That was kind of visible from everywhere, I think, too. But you're right. The problem with the goalie is that he's the last line of defense, and for most goals that are scored, when you go back and look at it, you're going to find at least 2 mistakes that happened before that guy ever had to have the puck shot at him whatsoever. But regular people just see the puck gets by the last guy, so it's got to be his fault, right?
Yeah, and I'm not putting fault on him. It's a game of mistakes. Mistakes by a goalie is the final mistake, and if that mistake happens, it's in our net. And that's why it's such one of the most unique positions in all professional sports, and how so much pressure is on that position. And we've got 2 really good ones. Don't get me wrong. We've got 2 really good ones. I don't think we help them in any means as far as the run production we get them, because they almost have to be perfect. That's a tough life to live as a goalie, thinking I've got to stop everything here and not let any type of dip in my game go because we just can't recover. And that's the way we've played this year.
All right, last thing I have for you, as we go through this week, you've been so good at keeping outside noise out of your dressing room in all of the time that you've been here. You've circled the wagons. You guys have worried about each other, and it doesn't matter what anybody from the outside says. I think this week there's going to be things that are happening that you haven't had to deal with for the last couple of years. In the last few years, it's been will the Blue Jackets bring some guys in to fortify what they already have? Because of your position right now, as we lead up to the trade deadline on Monday, there's a lot of speculation about guys that might be on their way out. As a coach, you've dealt with this every year that you've coached in the National Hockey League. How does this kind of stuff play? How do you keep it out? How can guys not get distracted when they know their name's floating out there?
Yeah, this is different. I haven't been involved in this situation in quite a while. I mean, for the past 5 years, because we were plugging along there even the first year, trying to grind to get in. We haven't been in this position. We're gonna do it the same way we always do, is just try to hunker in and try to get ready to be the best we can be every day. Bobby, the position we're in the standings, we belong there. We belong there because of our play. So there's no bad luck that went on with us this year. There's nothing. We belong where we belong. We're going to have to handle this circumstance that's foreign to us for the past 5 years the proper way. And I don't have a blueprint because I don't like practicing this. I don't like thinking about this. But we'll find our way to try to be professionals as we go through this.
Yeah, nobody likes it. No fan likes it. I know I don't like it. Because there's a possibility there's some really good people that may or may not be here in a couple of days for whatever reason, and that's the hardest part about it, isn't it? I mean, let's forget about the game and let's forget about the wins and the losses. It's the people that you've dealt with, in some cases every day for the last 5 years.
Yeah, and that's the greatest thing about this sport, is the relationships you develop as you go through the grind, the conflict, the good stuff, the celebrating, the gut-wrenching losses, all that stuff. You develop tight relationships. And I've been fortunate enough to be employed by the team now for 6 years. I have some great relationships in that room. And there could be 2 or 3 guys gone. And but we got to be big boys here. That's part of the game. And I don't think it affects your relationship after the game is done. I think we're solid enough that way. But yeah, this is a strange situation we're in right now.
Well, one thing I do know, you're not going to have to motivate your team for tonight. Tampa's in town, and they're always up to play against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, Torts, thank you very much. Best of luck against Tampa.
All right, Bobby. Thanks, man.